You're going to love this one. Jesus and his disciples had been teaching, and the crowds had been growing, and Jesus was tired. And so one day he gets into a boat with his disciples. Apparently, some of the disciples who were fishermen had their boat there. And Jesus said to them, "Let us go across to the other side of the lake." Now, this was called the Lake of Galilee, sometimes referred to as the Sea of Galilee, although it's not saltwater, it's freshwater. But it is quite a large lake. Nothing the size of like our Great Lakes, but pretty good size. And some of Jesus' disciples, Peter, Andrew, James, John, they were fishermen. They made their living on the lake. And their families probably did too. So they were familiar with it. They were good sailors, I'm sure. You know, fishermen tend to be. They have to go out in all weathers in order to make a living. And they had seen the lake in all of its many moods. And they knew how to handle a boat. Boats in those days were equipped with both oars and a sail. And so they put out. And while they were sailing, Jesus fell asleep. As I said, he'd been doing a lot of work. He was teaching, he was healing, he was exhausted. And while Jesus was asleep, a windstorm swept down on the lake. And the boat was filling with water. So apparently the wind created big enough waves so that the boat was having trouble making its way against the waves. They probably would have forgot wherever it was that they were going to in an effort to just keep the boat headed into the waves in order to keep her as stable as possible. But even so, water was finding its way into the boat faster than they could bail it out. I'm sure they had a bucket of some kind to bail it out. But the boat was filling with water. And it says, and they were in danger. Now, I'm sure that the fishermen in that group knew what constituted danger, and they had been doing everything that they could to keep them all safe, but this was a bad situation. This was an emergency. And so they went to him. Interesting. They went to him. Jesus was still sleeping. They woke him up, shouting, "Master, Master, we are perishing." So all of them, not just the landlubber disciples, but the fishermen disciples as well, were concerned with the situation. They woke him up. "Master, we're perishing. We're sinking. We're in trouble here." And he woke up. And he rebuked the wind and the raging waves. They ceased, and there was a calm. And he said to them, "Where is your faith?" They were afraid and amazed, and said to one another, "Who then is this, that he commands even the winds and the water, and they obey him?" Several interesting things in this little story. The humanity of Jesus. He's tired. He's been working hard, preaching and teaching is hard work. And being with people, surrounded with people all the time, having them asking for this, asking for that, trying to meet their needs, it's exhausting. And so it's not surprising that Jesus fell asleep. Kind of like that whole idea of Jesus being comfortable in a boat. But then again, he was comfortable pretty much everywhere because he knew that his life was in God's hands and that nothing was going to come to him that was not for his greatest good. He had that kind of confidence in God. So that when the disciples come to him in panic and say, "Master, wake up, we're perishing, we're in trouble, help, help, help," Jesus simply looks at them thinking, "Wait, where's your faith? I mean, don't you have confidence in God? Don't you trust in him? Don't you know that your life is in his hands? Relax. Nothing's going to happen to you that isn't for your greatest good." And if it does happen to you, it is for your greatest good. So just relax. So Jesus teaches a lesson here about faith. He teaches it, I think, to all of us because, storms of various kinds come into all of our lives. None of us escape it. The cancer diagnosis comes, the miscarriage comes, the leukemia comes, the disappointment comes, the lost job, the inability to make the house payment, whatever it might be. All of us experience storms in our lives. Some experience worse storms than others, it's true, but nobody gets through without a storm. And the point that Jesus makes, first of all, is don't be afraid. Have faith. Faith now means here confidence in God, trust in God, the belief that God is there and that He is going to take care of things and that nothing will happen to you that doesn't come through the loving hands of God. The other lesson here is in this very last verse here. The disciples ask the question, who then is this? It says that they are afraid and they are amazed as they see Jesus exercising power over nature. Now, they've seen him exercise power over sickness. He has healed diseases. He's given sight to the blind. He's given hearing to the deaf. He's made lame people, paralyzed people walk. He's even exercised power over death by raising the dead to life. But here they have seen this amazing demonstration of Jesus exercising power over nature. Now, who can do that? Who can say to a storm, quit it? Who can say to a raging sea, be still, and have it happen? Well, clearly, nobody I know, not yours truly, but Jesus could, which leads the disciples to ask the question, who is this? Who is this? This has got to make you think that this is more than just a man. Jesus is something way out of the ordinary. Yeah, he's very human. He can be tired and can fall asleep in the boat. But he must be more than just a man to be able to do this kind of thing. And this, of course, is the question that Jesus wanted them to ask. Jesus was hoping for them to say, who then is this? Who then is this? And the answer, of course, that he's hoping that they will come up with is that he is God. He is God in human form. And that's why he can do these things. And to come to the faith, the belief, the confidence that Jesus is who he says he is, means that we can then believe what he says. We can trust him. And that when he tells us that he has redeemed us, we can believe him. When he says that he's going away and he's coming again and he's going to take us home with him, we can believe him because he's done these amazing things. So this is a great story about the reasons for faith, what one great theologian has called warranted belief. Warranted belief. We have warrant for our faith in Jesus.